is Linda Soki. I am a student at Radford University in the RN to BSN online program. I am an RN working in the Outpatient Surgical Services Department at my local hospital. I've worked in this position for 2.5 years and have moved up in the ranks to become a charge nurse in this department. I also have taken on additional responsibilities that include becoming a super user during our transition to a new documentation system and computerized provider order entry. I've also assisted with revamping of new employee training manual and being a mentor to new employees. As part of the RN to BSN curriculum, one of our classes is Leadership and Professional Practice. One of our class assignments was to complete a leadership project. The purpose of the leadership project is to afford the student the opportunity to exhibit leadership skills in designing, implementing, and evaluating a product related to leadership. Under the active involvement of a mentor at the hospital, I have completed a needs assessment for a developable project in the Surgical Services Department. For my leadership project, I decided to create a newsletter for the Surgical Services Department at Memorial Hospital of Martinsville in Henry County. My immediate supervisor, Ken Khalil, was my mentor during the project development. The newsletter will help educate staff, encourage staff involvement within the department, share departmental information, and act as a public relations tool for the department as a whole. According to Weaver and Ellerby, a newsletter provides a forum for nurses to write articles, exchange ideas, be inspired by others, and most importantly, be informed about all the innovative things happening at your hospital and your department. The development of a newsletter requires time, dedication, and can involve numerous staff in the creation. A newsletter can play an integral part in keeping staff informed in a large department that is separated by the walls of the operating room or central sterile supply. In creating a newsletter, it was determined that several key decisions would have to be decided before production could begin. Those decisions included who will create, write, and edit the newsletter, how often will the newsletter be published, what should we call the newsletter, what format will the newsletter have, and how many sections will the newsletter have. All these questions had to be addressed before the newsletter could begin production and eventual distribution. It was determined for the first issue that I would write and edit. The newsletter will be a monthly publication with the possibility of moving to bi-monthly in the future. Various names were considered as a title, using wordplay on the surgical services side of the department. And the format will be double-sided print form handouts. As for how many sections, we will see those explained on the next slides. Content of the newsletter included the following sections: Code section, Christie's Corner, Special Monthly Focus, Upcoming Events, Educational section, Spotlight section, Celebrations, and a comic strip or funny section at the conclusion. I will go into detail on each of these sections next. The code section would choose a different overhead code page and educate on what the code call entailed. The initial newsletter focused on code stroke, a new protocol being used in the emergency department. Information on code stroke was obtained from the educational staff. The printed protocol was referenced as a source of information, and a brief summary was written up from the protocol and formatted into the newsletter. The educational section of the newsletter was developed to be used as a tool to educate staff on various subjects, such as cardiac rhythm strips, ABGs, labs, or departmental regulations. The initial newsletter included a rhythm strip with the instructions to name that rhythm. Basic educational points on how to identify a cardiac rhythm were included. Future newsletters could include information specific to Surgical Services Department on why we do certain things, such as how or why we sterilize equipment. The Surgical Services Director was given a section titled Christie's Corner. It is used as an informative piece for the Surgical Services Director to relay any information that she feels needs to reach the department. Ms. Stutz submitted a piece on our recent visit from the Joint Commission and on the upcoming events related to Nurses Week in May. The Spotlight section focuses on new surgical services employees, including nursing, surgical, or medical staff. For this newsletter, our newest general surgeon was a selected subject. General information about the surgeon's medical background was obtained from the surgical recruitment staff. Upcoming events was given a section of the newsletter to inform staff of events that are occurring during the month or upcoming months, either in the department or hospital. These could include Relay for Life, Nurses Week, Hospital Week, Perioperative Nurses Week, Doctor's Day, or World Health Day. The next section would be a special monthly focus section. The section could come from recommendations from management or inquiries from staff. For the initial newsletter, the section focused on departmental nursing certification. It is used to encourage nursing staff on the importance of obtaining certification for their area and the benefits the hospital provides for the certification. It was also a way to recognize the nurses that currently hold their certification. The celebration section is an area that can announce birthdays, births, marriages, or achievements. The comics section was included to make sure we are reminded to have fun and enjoy what we do every day. The medical field can be stressful and overwhelming at times, and remembering why we do what we do is beneficial to our spirits. The newsletter was formatted using Microsoft Word 2013 software. The format and content was reviewed with the mentor. Final edits were then made and the final copy submitted to the department director for approval. Once approved, double-sided copies will be printed and distributed to selected staff in the Surgical Services Department. This is the final copy of the newsletter. It will be printed front and back with color graphics. Each section has been given its own outline and space. The title, The Inside Scoop, was placed using word art. I am so very proud of this final product. It's visually pleasing, has just enough information to read in a short amount of time, and is educational. I hope that my coworkers enjoy it. Included with the newsletter will be an evaluation form. The evaluation form will include questions in scale form to elicit information on how content was received by staff, formatting issues, and a comment section for recommendations and suggestions for future issues. Recommendations from the initial creation experience include having a sub-department volunteer to submit the celebrations from their departments to share with the entire surgical staff. This would ensure that one person is not trying to obtain and missing an important date or recognition. It would also be beneficial to seek out staff that would be interested in being staff writers and contributor. I did find difficulties in obtaining information needed from credible sources. In future attempts, I would need to reevaluate the methods used and how to streamline the process in order to avoid multiple emails, phone calls, and in-person inquiries. I feel a bank of information could be created with birthdays, certifications, and monthly events to use as a resource for future issues. At my recommendation, I would continue the newsletter as a monthly publication with a specific monthly target date for information to be submitted from each sub-department supervisor. For example, by the 20th of each month prior, submissions should be given to the editor so that they can be formatted into the monthly newsletter and allow time for approval from the department or director. The final recommendation would be to include the staff in the official naming of the newsletter. This experience has been challenging, stressful, and at times it felt impossible, but seeing the end product was a rewarding experience. Thank you for your time viewing this presentation.